Hello, I'm Kate Porras, a realtor at RE/MAX 4000, and welcome to House Talk on KAFM 88.1 Community Affairs. Each month, I bring local experts to provide information for home buyers, home sellers, and homeowners here in Mesa County. Thanks so much for joining us. So a lot of folks are looking at their options. Are they going to sell? Are they going to buy a new home? Or maybe they're going to do home renovation. And this time of year, home renovations get really popular. That spring cleaning starts to kick in for a lot of people. Maybe you need a new office space. Maybe you need a new bedroom. Just some renovations. Projects can range from small to extensive. And Brock Miera from Miera & Son Construction is joining us today as our guest. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
We were just talking before the show. You are busy. Give us a little bit of your background.
Well, my background is typically in large home renovations. We do a lot of additions. We do a lot of remodels. More recently, last year, we became a Class A general contractor, which means we can do ground-up commercial and commercial renovations as well, which has really kind of, given us a bigger market share here in the western Colorado. So.
You know, there's a lot that goes into choosing the right contractor. You can look through, Google and find a list of a bunch of people that say they can renovate your home. But what are some key important things that people need to consider to find the right contractor if they're deciding to renovate their home?
It's a good question. Having somebody that has a license, somebody that has insurance, I think is a good place to start. I feel like it's a communication thing. If you can have a conversation with the person, if you feel comfortable with not only who they are, but also that they have a good understanding of what you want the finished product to look like, as well as, do you feel like they have the confidence in order to get it done the way that you want it done? I think there's so many contractors out there, so many customers that I talk to that say, I didn't hire this guy because he didn't really listen to what I wanted. He listened to what he wanted to do. And he or she, I'm not saying that there aren't, women in construction, but that's kind of my biggest thing is communication and, being able to talk to people. I know you and I have been on a potential job site with a mutual client before. And one of the things that I noticed was being able to help the client envision the possibilities. So, for example, this was an older home, very, very dated, but had some really great bones. And sometimes it was hard for the buyer to kind of envision what it could be. And so having someone that can walk through that process with them and say, what about this idea or what about that idea? What are your thoughts on that? I love it. I absolutely love taking an old space and transforming it into something new and beautiful and something that's more functional for families that, have kids and, or don't have kids, just something that's going to fit their needs a lot better. And the vision is something that really drives me. I love walking into a space. I love seeing what it could be and then being able to kind of verbally explain that to the customers to try and, help them create a vision in their own mind. Sometimes people love my ideas, sometimes people don't. But, like I said before, in the end, it's what they want and what's going to work for them, not what's going to work for me.
What do you ever get into situations where someone says, I want this, but you go and look at what you have to work with, and this isn't exactly possible? Those situations come up?
Not really. I tell almost every customer this. We can do absolutely anything that you want. It's all about time and money. So if you want something that's relatively easy to do, it's not going to take a lot of time and it's not going to cost a lot of money. But yeah, we can do absolutely anything.
What does that estimation process look like? How does that work?
On the first time I sit down with somebody or the first time we go and look at a site, I like to walk through, get kind of a feel for what they want in their renovation. I try to establish at least a general budget the first time that we talk. The worst thing is to put in a bunch of your time, to put in a bunch of the customer's time, and at the end find out that you were nowhere near their budget to begin with. So we try to get a budget in play. If the rough numbers look good, then we start working on a line by line estimate with, a shopping list and shopping allowances for them.
So are costs typically based on materials, time? How do those costs get figured?
As far as my estimating process, it's based on different things. Sometimes hours, sometimes square footage, sometimes lineal footage. As far as the customer is concerned, I really like a lump sum contract with allowances, and so I'll give them X amount of dollars for finishes, cabinets, flooring, plumbing fixtures, lighting fixtures, and things like that. So they feel like they do have some control, but I have the control when it comes to everything that goes into the project before it starts getting pretty.
I know in the last, really a couple years ago, the cost of materials, it seemed like a moving target, even throughout a couple months, that, something that cost this much in February was now this much in May. Are we still seeing that when it comes to construction materials?
For the most part, no. I think that for what I'm seeing from my suppliers, most construction materials have been pretty steady over the last, year or so. I do know things like concrete has gone up a little bit. Lumber fluctuates from time to time, but nothing like we were seeing in, 2019, 2020.
A little more stability.
Oh, absolutely.
And as far as being able to order things, for one, I had some clients and they were building a new house and it took months. I'm trying to remember how many months, but many months just to get the garage door.
Yeah.
Are we still seeing issues like that with different things?
If it depends on what you want. If you want something that's really specialized, then yeah, you're gonna wait a little bit of time. I've got a situation right now where we've been waiting on a specific type of brushed gold finish pot filler for now going on 6 months. But it has to be that because it's the only one that matches the other finishes in their house.
And that's really what they want.
That's really what they want, so they don't mind waiting. So
that's where that communication part comes in to play.
Yeah, exactly. And they knew it was going to be a while when we ordered it. So
yeah. You're listening to House Talk on KAFM Grand Junction. In the studio today, Brock Miera. He's a local contractor with Miera and Son Construction. So as a realtor, we show different homes. You can see ones that have been updated and some that haven't. But sometimes the issue of, was this done with a permit? That kind of thing comes into play. What do you see as far as, requirements to meet building codes, permits? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that building codes are there to protect the customer, really. I think, when you do a renovation, either a DIY renovation or you do a renovation without a permit, you run the risk of safety issues. I think it's probably the biggest concern. Things that aren't done to code, will typically come with a certain set of safety risks. And so, I think that's probably your biggest issue with projects that are done without the oversight.
How does the homeowner ensure that the contractor understands everything that they're wanting and needing for a project?
I think it just comes down to communication again. Having a defined scope, having a set of drawings, elevations, isometric drawings. We like to do 3-dimensional drawings, do virtual walkthroughs of our renovation projects to show what the finishes are going to look like, what people are going to feel like in the space prior to ever doing any demolition on the project, because it's a lot easier to change things in that stage than it ever is to change things once construction is started.
Inevitably, it seems like things often come in over budget. I think that's kind of one of the, I don't know if it's a cliche or just a common thought that, this is my budget, but really I need to have this much instead just in case. Is that fair? Is that true?
Speaking as a contractor, we try everything that we can to stay within the budget that was set forth. The only time that the budget changes is with allowance items. If a customer decides to buy something that is higher than the allowances that we have on the contract, or with changes. So if a customer decides to, add something, on-demand hot water heaters are a real big selling point right now. So if they decide to add something like that, then we would, the contract would change.
You're listening to House Talk on KAFM. In the studio today, Brock Miera with Miera & Son Construction. We're talking about home remodeling, a big popular thing right now for many homeowners. One thing that's not so popular about home renovations is the disruption, a little bit of chaos that it can cause. Are there ways to minimize that, to make it just a little bit easier if you're still living in the home? Or even if you're not, sometimes it's still a big project.
It is. Most of the renovations that we go through are large enough that it makes a lot of sense for the customer to move out, find a place to live for, the 4 or 5 months that we're going to be in their house. I realize that's not in everyone's budget to be able to do that. So in the event that people do want to live through the renovation, we do communicate. We say this is not going to be easy. The disruption to your family, the constant dust, the constant noise, the constant strangers being in your house, it is not easy. So we want to make sure that, we talk, that we communicate. We also want to make sure that we have, temporary facilities set up, whether it's a temporary kitchen, whether it's a temporary bathroom, so that people feel like they still have some personal space inside of a larger construction zone.
And hopefully the end product makes all of that hassle, chaos, time worth all of it.
That's the hope.
That is the hope. Brock, if people have more questions, how can they get a hold of you?
Feel free to go to my website, mieraandson.com, or give me a call, 303-960-6061.
Great information. Thanks so much for joining us today. This segment airs on the second Wednesday of each month. You can also listen to podcasts on demand at kafmcommunityradio.org. And make sure to join us next month for another edition of House Talk. If you have a topic you want me to discuss, give me a call or shoot me an email. My phone number is 970-985-8555. You can also find more information at kateporras.com.